Hello.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to the Real Football Fans of New Jersey. Katie and Caitlin coming at you live tonight.
Yes. Feels good.
It does. And we are together. Feels good to be back together again. Hope you guys are enjoying your evening so far, enjoying your Wednesdays so far, or whenever you're listening to this on the podcast, just enjoying your day. Hopefully you're enjoying it with a beverage. I am not, because I'm on a cleanse and I hate myself royally. So I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm having a lovely glass of water tonight.
I will drink for two.
Katie, though, on the other hand, is teasing me, testing me, making me angry.
Sorry.
But listen, we're adults. You gotta do what you gotta do. Am I right? So
You're right.
This is episode 148. So we are gonna come at you guys tonight with some questions that were sent in to us.
Yes.
Thank you, as always, for sending in. We have 3 for you. And as always, we are live across Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. So if you do have questions live during the show, send them in. We'll answer them for you. All right, let's get started with the first question. What is your pitch for J.J. Watt to come to the Giants?
No pitch. We've got a lot to get done over on the defensive side of the ball for the Giants. We got to try and bring back Dalvin Tomlinson, Leonard Williams. That's tip-top priority. And I don't think J.J. Watt's going to be like crazy expensive like he would have been in the past. Obviously, he's very injury prone, but still, it's not going to be a priority for the Giants. I don't think they're going to consider it at all. And I don't need to pitch for it.
No,
I don't think we need him.
I can pitch against it, and I think a lot of it does, have to do with
I'd rather spend the money elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think, and we'll talk about this later in regards to, monetary values within the NFL this year.
Yeah.
I actually have to sit down and understand where the Giants stand, cap-wise, money-wise. I need to understand what we're doing. So, and I think a lot of answers will come because right now we are in what's the time frame now when we can...
Well, you can franchise.
Yeah, I literally was just saying that. I was like, what is the name?
Yesterday was the first day where it started.
So we're now in that open period. The draft is coming up. We're going to move around in the offseason and make some moves. So I definitely do need to understand a little bit more where the Giants sit. But I can tell you confidently right now, this is not a move that we want to make.
Yeah, I agree. So
so it's more so the pitch against it, not for it.
Yeah.
Number 2, on a scale, a scale of 0 to 100%, what do you believe are the chances that the New York Jets stick with Sam Darnold?
That they stick with him? I would say I'm feeling like the 25-30% range. At first, when Robert Saleh was hired, it kind of seemed like he was speaking highly of Sam Darnold, everybody trying to act like, oh no, he's got all this untapped potential and he's great and he's going to be our guy and yada, yada, yada. And I feel like as we are getting further in the process, certainly when we get closer to the draft, free agency, all that good stuff, I feel as though it's coming out more that they will move on from him. From what I've been reading and feeling.
Yeah, I thought the Saleh hire was the answer that they were keeping Darnold. And I said that the day, I don't know when we found out about Saleh, but it was on that episode after. And I had made that statement. I think they truly will stick with Sam Darnold now. The question's not up in the air. Quite the opposite over the past couple of weeks, where I feel like that narrative has changed. And now I do question it. I'm going to go a little higher than you. I'm actually going to go with 40%.
Okay.
We do need to see kind of what goes on in the draft. Anything can happen.
Combine. I mean,
that is
scope out these quarterbacks in the combine.
Yeah.
See how they look.
There's still a bunch of people available in free agency. So there could be some switches up there. We know the biggest, rumor mill is Deshaun Watson to the Jets. So
not just the draft, but Deshaun could be in the mix.
There's still a lot going on there. So I'm going to keep it more towards 40. But that definitely is a lot lower than what I had initially thought a couple weeks back.
Yeah, but I think that goes not just Sam Darnold's situation, but everybody's situation. I do feel like a narrative is ever changing a lot of times. Week by week, we come on and we do this show and things change on a weekly basis, a day by day basis.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of like when you hear, oh, this team is definitely 100% going to draft this kid, number 1 overall, 2 overall. And then as you get closer, like a day before the draft, it could be a whole entire different thing. So we'll see. Right now, as of this show this week, I feel like the Jets will move on from Darnold. But it could change.
And then finally, do you think MetLife Stadium will be back to full capacity come the home opening game?
No, that's a lot of fans. I think MetLife holds 80-something thousand in that stadium. That's a lot of people. Baby steps. The NFL did such a great job making sure that we had the entire 2020 season. And I think they'll play it cautiously, and that's a lot of people. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, the one upside is an outdoor stadium, so we definitely do have the up there. And this question definitely comes off of, so the other day, Governor Murphy of New Jersey did say that sporting events can now open as of March 1st. So it is at 15% capacity for outdoor venues and 10% for indoor venues.
When I heard that too, and I did the math on it, just ballparking that MetLife was like 80,000. I mean, that's like 12,000 people. I mean, that's a huge difference than 80,000 people.
Yeah, but listen, we're making progress, and that's in March. So home opener, and
we're gonna go further with the vaccine, and more people will be vaccinated.
So maybe not full capacity, but I think
it will be more than that 15%.
Yeah, we'll definitely be at a good spot. And obviously, there's definitely gonna be protocols in place. You might have to get tested. There's going to be masks probably. But listen, I did all of that when I went to the Giants-Eagles game, during COVID. Right. So, and it was fine. Honestly, I preferred that the seats next to us and in front of us were blocked off. I don't want to sit near you.
That's the other thing with 80,000 people, you fill every seat, and we know we go to games at MetLife, and when there's no COVID, every seat is filled. And so I think people definitely feel more comfortable, less people, so you can space out, have certain rows, no people at all. I mean, definitely makes everybody feel a little bit more comfortable, I would think.
Yeah, for sure. And those were our questions. So definitely a good set of them. As always, we are again live. So please send in your questions if you have any for us, and we will answer them for you.
Yes, absolutely. But let's get into our big stories of the week in the world of football. I was hoping that we would get quarterback answers for somebody at least, right? Still waiting on Deshaun Watson a little bit, but we do have moves. They have been made. Carson Wentz, he's heading to the Indianapolis Colts.
He's out.
So on Thursday, Philly agreed to trade quarterback Carson Wentz to the Colts in exchange for a 2021, so this draft, a third rounder, and a conditional 2022 second round pick. That conditional pick, this is very interesting. The conditional pick can become a first round pick if Carson Wentz plays 75% of the snaps in 2021, or 70% of the snaps, and the Colts make the playoffs. So
they're literally banking on him not playing a full season. And
yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to it's kind of sad. It almost feels like a JJ Watt situation. Yeah. Like our team's going to kind of piggyback off of this now and be like, oh, well, we want JJ Watt, but we'll only do this if he plays 16 games. Carson Wentz is very injury prone. I feel like this is really fair. I'm not giving up a first round pick if he's not going to be playing the majority of the regular season. And so I think this stipulation that was thrown in was a good one, was a smart one. It kind of covers your ass. Yeah. And I don't know, Caitlin and I kind of laughed when we saw this because we heard how adamant Philly was about well, we're not going to send Carson Wentz to the Colts because we need at least a first rounder, and the Colts were not going to do that. And so we all thought he was going to go to the Bears because it sounded like the Bears were maybe willing
to do that.
And in the end, Philly didn't really get exactly what they wanted.
And they're basically paying Carson Wentz right now not to play for them, which makes me laugh out loud.
Which, we have the numbers on that. So the trade will not be finalized until the new league year begins on March 17th. That's right around the corner. Wentz will now be reunited. We spoke about this, I think, last week with head coach Frank Reich. Reich was his offensive coordinator for 2 seasons in Philly, arguably his best 2 seasons while he was there, Carson Wentz. And the trade comes 2 years after Philly inked Wentz to an extension that will now leave Philly with $33.82 million in dead money on their 2021 salary cap. That is the largest dead cap hit in NFL history. It was 2 seconds ago. It was Jared Goff. It is now Carson Wentz. That's a huge hit. And
it is.
That speaks volumes, doesn't it? Wow. They're willing to take that kind of hit, and they didn't even get a first round or anything like that. It's interesting too, to me, that they would get rid of, Peterson and Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of surprised me.
Well, now I mean, it's coming out that they didn't even speak to each other and all of this stuff. So I think there was probably back and forth and miscommunication between other parts of management where it was like, listen, if we get rid of Peterson, like Carson's our guy. If we get rid of Carson, we'll stick with Doug Peterson. And
that's
clearly
happen,
those communications did not go fully out with everyone. So they just got rid of both of them. Yeah. So guess what? Now you're out of head coach
I think was the right move anyways. No, I mean, I think that they definitely Doug Peterson lost the respect of his players. You can't have that. No. People aren't going to want to play for him, win for him.
If that story came out after we decided to move on from, and I say we, I'm not me, but we as a team decided to move on from our starting quarterback, and then that comes out. So say they let Carson Wentz go, and then this comes out, and Doug Peterson's still your head coach, I'd be like, well, I don't know.
Yeah. So and the story was that the two didn't talk for weeks on end during the regular season, but it specified 8 to 10 weeks they didn't speak. Yeah. That's insane to me that your head coach is not speaking to the most important player on your team.
Literally.
It's absolutely absurd. You can't have that. I agree. They had to get rid of both. Yeah. But with Jared Goff and the Carson Wentz move, this is another really interesting stat. So with Jared Goff now with the Detroit Lions, Carson Wentz going to the Colts, it is now official that none of the 22 quarterbacks drafted in the first round from 2009 to 2016 are with their original team that drafted them. Now you have to think when you draft a quarterback in the first round, everybody's mentality is, everybody's dream is that this is your franchise quarterback for the next 10 seasons. Mm-hmm. That's everybody's goal. That's everybody's dream. And to hear that stat, it's got to make you question a lot of things, especially with an NFL draft coming up where we're looking at maybe 4 or 5 quarterbacks going in the first round. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. But also now with all of these moves, Carson going to the Colts. Philly is now, and you'll read a bunch of articles already, now facing the question of, are they rolling with Jalen Hurts as their starting quarterback? Or are they going to draft someone because they do sit at number 6 overall? Yeah. They could trade up potentially. I have read mock drafts where I've seen them sneak up, but you still could get somebody solid at 6. It's going to be a huge storyline for the Eagles all the way up until the draft.
Yeah, I mean,
and even after the draft, if they take a quarterback and then it's Jalen competition versus the rookie in camp, I mean, that is the narrative for the Philadelphia
and they
Eagles.
definitely need to bring someone else in, obviously. So we'll just have to see kind of which way the Eagles,
right, because
they do. It's not just they need other positions desperately. So they are a team that needs to stack.
I think regardless, Jalen needs a quarterback competition, whether it's going to be a rookie or somebody that's already in the league.
Yeah, I mean, what I think is interesting though about this, with the Goff and Wentz scenario of extending contracts, the conversations on the table now with Baker Mayfield, should they extend him? And a lot of people are coming out and saying pump the brakes, let's look at what happened to these guys, let him play it out, let him go through and then properly, reanalyze his contract and give him a bigger value when the time comes. Don't try to extend him too early because we have 2 prime quarterbacks right now where that happened and the team's moved on from him.
Just goes to show you, and I think that's kind of what makes me sad a little bit about seeing kind of the veterans, a whole group that Caitlin and I really grew up watching football are kind of on their way out, or some of them already out. Eli, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers is getting up there. Tom Brady, of course. It's almost like we had such a good group of guys who stayed with one team, most of them for their whole career, or at least had legitimate careers for 10, 15 seasons. It's getting harder and harder to hit on these quarterbacks.
I know.
I don't know what that says, but it makes me sad that we're losing such a solid group of veterans that we've already lost or going to be losing in the next, 1 to 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting. And again, I think that's the narrative in Philly. What's going to happen at the quarterback position?
We don't know.
We do not know.
But I swear, if Jalen starts and some of you Eagles fans talk shitty on him, I will come and get you.
Yeah, sensitive subject for Caitlin.
Definitely, for sure. All righty, so more, we got some quick hot topics for you here for the NFL. So on Thursday, it was announced that in a memo to NFL teams, they have been told the salary cap floor has increased from $175 million. sorry,
That's a typo.
Yeah, 175 million to 180 million.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is not the final number for the league year. Just a minimum increase so far.
It's good news.
It's just a very, very timely topic because I did know, recently we were talking about the Jets and kind of things like there. Like they have room. They're not paying guys. Like they have room to make moves and like they need to use the salary cap wisely. So I think they are one of the teams out there right now that has this big gap, and this move could be very beneficial for them in particular. And I'm just saying there probably are other teams there that have that big cap, but they are one of the teams right now that is very, very successful in this area. So, and by successful, I mean like have money,
room to do
have
stuff.
money. Yeah. So very interesting there. So I was surprised they increased it after a season of where they lost. The NFL lost a tremendous amount of money due to COVID.
Yeah.
And I even heard on the radio this whole week, kind of the NFL is trying. So they're doing the 17 games again next season. They're trying to get all 3 preseason games out, and they're going to try they said new ways to make more money. I don't know what new you can add in there, but they're trying.
You gotta get creative.
They lost a lot. So I am a little, intrigued by this increase.
Yep.
So, but hey, maybe that will bring in more money somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so more news with Philly. Another departure there. On Friday, they released wide receiver Deshaun Jackson, 34 years old, and he was entering the final year of his deal out in Philly, but release will save them $4.8 million in cap space.
I mean, there you go. You're already saving $5 million by releasing him. You also gained $5 million from this increase in the cap. So...
yeah, so he played in just 8 games in 2 seasons with them, battling the injuries. Ian Rappaport also reported that when the league year begins, wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey will also be released. So here's again, where you bring up the idea of, Jalen Hurts and should they do something in the draft? They just lost. They're going to lose 2 wide receivers right here. And that was a position that they weren't strong with really going into the 2020 season. So now we're entering a new season. That team has to build up in a lot of areas. So I don't even know if drafting a quarterback at 6.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's very interesting because now you don't have Carson Wentz. You're letting go of some 2 veteran wide receivers who I think you can manage without. But, nonetheless, you're getting rid of 2 known wide receivers. Yeah. And you're sitting at 6, and you could take a quarterback. You can also potentially grab the first wide receiver off the board. And we know that because we're looking at them too. And we know that these wide receivers are strong. That could be a good move for Philly. Yeah. It could be what they're setting up for by releasing some of these guys.
Absolutely. And then finally on Monday, Seattle guard Mike Iupati, sorry, you guys know me, announced his retirement after 11 seasons in the NFL. He was drafted number 17 in 2010 by San Francisco and also played for Arizona as well. He was selected to 4 Pro Bowls and was first team All-Pro in 2012. The latter half of his year, injury plays, I think we report on that all the time nowadays. But he still appeared in 140 games, starting 139 of them in his career, which is outstanding.
Yeah, this is coming off of last week when we were talking about the Pouncey brothers and their retirement, and how we brought up the point of if this is an offensive lineman and you happen to, and they don't play for the team you root for and you know their name, it means that they are legit. So Mike Iupati is a huge name in the NFL. Yeah. And, having those Pro Bowl nods, I think anytime you're a first team All-Pro, even if it was just one time, that is a huge nod. Mm-hmm. And that's another well-known offensive lineman, and he had a solid career. And again, it's just, it's weird. It's just, I know this happens every year, but I just feel like we're losing such big names season after season. Mm-hmm. It's definitely different from then maybe when we were in high school and guys would leave. And I just feel like we do this show every single week. We are so in tune and so invested with the NFL. And I hate seeing some of these guys that, again, we grew up watching, starting to make their exits. And it
makes me sad.
We have a whole new look in the NFL. We really do. The game is always changing, and the look of it, especially just these college kids, the college game changes, and then that goes on into the NFL, and we see college coaches coming into the NFL, Urban Meyer. It changes everything.
It really does.
So it's just, you could just feel everything changing, and I don't do change well. So it's kind of weird. It's weird, but great career, and
hats off, kudos. Always good to see.
Right off into the sunset. Enjoy retirement.
Absolutely.
Well deserved.
Enjoy. Let me know how to get to the retirement
Yeah,
level.
wouldn't that be lovely? Like retiring in your 30s. Oh my God, sounds phenomenal. Okay, let's get into our big stories of the week in the world of housewives. This first story involves your girl, Lisa Vanderpump.
Girl.
Stuff going on with her.
Well, she's got that new show out. I got to check that new show out.
Yeah, she does. She does. And then, so what we are talking about tonight is after the exciting news of LVP reopening her West Hollywood restaurant, Sir, after closing for nearly 3 months due to COVID. Sir and her other restaurant, Pump, are now being sued over failed produce bills. Before they shut down in 2020 due to COVID, they received produce and vegetables from West Central Produce, and they're now suing the eateries for unpaid deliveries per TMZ. Payments reportedly stopped coming in the spring of 2020, and the company claims they are owed just under $100,000, which they are suing for plus interest.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and LVP's other restaurant, Villa Blanca, that closed for good this past summer. But Sir is reopened. Pump is set to reopen soon as well. And then apparently Lisa's husband, Ken, told TMZ that he was unaware of this lawsuit, but that he would pay the company as soon as possible if, in fact, they do owe them that money.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling it's a misunderstanding.
I don't know what it is, whether you're a rich housewife, though, or just a regular Joe. It goes to show you that the restaurant industry is suffering right now.
Yeah.
It's really hard out there for restaurant owners to keep afloat during this time. And I know I say it on my own social media. I know you probably do as well. Everybody does. Like, just keep trying to support your local restaurants. Do what you can. And because they're definitely probably taking almost the biggest hit out of anybody, I would probably say. So it goes to show you that even somebody like Lisa Vanderpump is struggling to stay afloat during all
That's
this.
why I think this entire thing is just like a misunderstanding. Like, they could
especially when he says, like, I'll pay you right away.
It could have been something like at the height of COVID where
they didn't realize,
maybe it wasn't coming because our restaurants were closed. Someone could leak if it is a big, if they want their money quick, they could just leak it to a TMZ or an outlet like that. And there you go. Here's your money. Like, instead of just doing things properly. But hey, that's what happens sometimes. So, all righty. So we've got some big drama. Real Housewives of New Jersey came out with a fight for the first episode.
Might have been one of the most dramatic first episodes of the season I have seen on Housewives.
Hands down. And we have been talking about it all I don't know, waiting up until this moment. We've been talking about, what we were expecting, everything like that. We do drop the whole, bombshell of Jackie's husband being accused of cheating on her. Guess what? It comes out in the first episode.
We knew it was coming. We had not prepared ourselves to see it right off the bat.
So it is essentially a Jackie versus Teresa moment, because guess who starts the rumor? Miss Teresa. Yeah. So, but we do, want to go over. So basically, just to kind of see, wrap things up. So it did happen at Evan's birthday party, which I definitely am so questionable of how they had that birthday party with no COVID measurements in place. So it stems from that. It did come from that. Teresa did start chirping a little bit during there, a
lot of it.
Whispers here and there.
To everybody at that entire
Evan
party.
is, it didn't even make sense, her accusations that he does things. He does things at the gym.
He goes to the gym
and does things. That's literally, I was like, wait, what?
And she had no receipts. She couldn't
no receipts.
She said she didn't remember who told her, yada, yada.
And then she brings in Margaret, and she's like, oh, you're from that area. Don't you know this? And she's like, what are you talking about? So not good. So, but Jackie unfortunately is facing major backlash following the premiere. So they do have their drama llama. So Jackie does confront Teresa and ask for them to sit down and have a conversation at Margaret's house.
Right.
So basically, at the end of the episode, Jackie goes on to say her gossiping about her husband without proof is the same as telling people, quote, I heard Gia snorts coke in the bathroom at parties. I mean, I heard it. I don't know where it came from. So this quote unquote analogy is not going out with Teresa or viewers. Melissa and Jennifer disagreed with the analogy. Even Dorinda, our girl, chimed in, calling Jackie the lowest of the low. Jackie did defend her statement. We do have a quote, and also Gia did respond as well.
Yeah.
So the quote from Jackie is, my analogy about Gia was simply an analogy. There was no truth to it, of course. The rest of the cast understood this, which you'll see in the coming weeks. The behavior at my husband's birthday party is truly unfortunate. Destroying a marriage and a family is not entertainment. And then you do have Gia saying it was an analogy is making it excusable. It's not. My character is now being questioned. My name was used to make a point. No one should be used in that way. I'm suffering the consequences for such an outlandish and untrue statement while her marriage isn't happy and intact. Okay. Yeah. I have a lot of opinions on this because I don't disagree with Jackie defending herself. I don't know why she just pulled out Gia's name and kind of pulled like that. That to me is a little targeting, but I do fully agree with what she's saying. Like, listen, this is me. I heard it. I don't know where. Yeah. I don't know though. Yeah. That's exactly what Teresa did. Teresa's behavior at Evan's birthday party is absolutely disgusting. I don't think I've ever seen someone actually go and make up. I know people who make up rumors, but to see it actually happen in real time, I was like, wow. That just shows how scary this world can be and how like you need to have people in your pool that will have your back no matter what.
There was the scene when Jackie said, when I had to tell Evan about this, and she's saying how upset he was, rightfully so. And when she said he was so embarrassed to know that he was having a jolly good time his birthday, and everybody was hearing this from him. That's the part that made me the most sad and annoyed and pissed off. Here's my thing. I'm not 100% team Jackie, or I'm definitely 100% not team Teresa. I can say that. Yeah. Jackie, to me, this was like a missed opportunity because Teresa, I feel as though she's one of those people that thinks she's never in the wrong. She never really feels like she apologizes for things, not sincerely at least. And I feel like Jackie could have had Teresa kissing her toes. Teresa would have 100% been in the wrong for this. Had Jackie just stated this analogy differently, she couldn't even use the same example. It was the way she said it, like it was a clear-cut statement. I know. It wasn't like, oh, what if I heard this like BS rumor about Gia? Or what if somebody said something outlandish about Gia that wasn't true like this? Right. But it was the way she was just like, yeah, I hear Gia snorts coke in the bathroom. She said it like a factual statement. And I get it. It was the heat of the moment. But it was like, if she had just worded it differently, everybody would have been like, Team Jackie, 1,000%. Teresa's in the wrong. It was just those words were not used well.
I agree. You're right. It did seem like it was, point blank. Like I actually know this happened.
She didn't preface it the way she should have.
I wouldn't go as far as what Dorinda said, like lowest of the low. There's been worse things said about children on Housewives, and it's an ongoing, debate. Can you bring children into things? My thought there is, if you are 18 years old, you are signing forms of like consent. You have to be on the show and things like that. While I don't agree that women should be attacking children every now and then, like you are on these shows and like you're available for these women to interact with you and to do things like that. So while I'm not saying it's okay, it can happen.
Yeah. And listen though, I do feel for Gia though, even though I think the people who watch it understand that this was an analogy, but it's still that sentence like came out there. So for maybe other people that don't understand the scenario or the context behind it or know Gia from the show or in person, that is like defamation. Like, you know what I mean? So I personally can tell you, if I were in Gia's shoes and I wasn't even in the room to defend myself, or my name was just thrown out there like that, and especially in a statement like that where I do drugs, like that would really, really, really upset me. It would piss me off. Like, you have a job, I have a job, like, that would drive me insane.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's why there are things out there like defamation laws and things like that to protect yourself. So if you truly feel like you are in the wrong and her character is being judged now, and say she did go to a job in a month or two and they said no because of this, that's actually illegal. So I just want to make sure if she's making statements like this, that her character is being, and like she's very nervous about the future and whatnot, like you need to be able to defend yourself. And these accusations are not okay. But there's laws and things in place because of this. And that's why, again, you have to have a solid crew around you, because people can come out now and be like, no, definitely not, that she would not do this.
I know this is like such an extreme example, but it's like how the Duke lacrosse story, like that whole thing was a made up story, right? But there are people out there that didn't follow that story all the way through. So unless you like heard the end of that story, you could still be sitting here today thinking that these players did this thing.
Yeah.
That's what would bother me, like being in Gia's shoes. Like if you don't watch Housewives or know, and you just read this sentence, like maybe that's what you think about me now.
Yeah.
No, so totally that's what,
yeah, for sure.
Not good. Not good, Miss Teresa.
They came out swinging, though. It was a powerful. I don't know if I'll catch tonight's episode because I'm very tired, but it is. I'm ready. I'm locked and loaded for this season.
Absolutely. It started off with a bang. My God.
My God. It's it.
My God. But anyways, let's get into our game of the night. This is a football game. It is called Worst to First, the Best of the Bottom. So Gil Brandt, he is a writer for NFL.com. He published an article on Friday ranking all 8 teams that finished last place in their division this past season. And he ranked them in regards to who has the best possibility to go from worst place to first place in the 2021 season. So Caitlin and I are going to break down our own personal list and how we rank these 8 teams. We'll also give you Gil's answers so we can compare and contrast. We're going to add a little bonus to it, though. We are also going to tell you who will be each team's biggest competition within their own division. So if they are to go from worst to first, who are they going to have to beat out for that spot? So just so you guys know, a little breakdown here, the 4th place teams from the 2020 season. In the NFC East, we had the Philadelphia Eagles, NFC North, Detroit Lions, NFC South, Atlanta Falcons, NFC West, San Francisco 49ers, AFC East, New York Jets, AFC North, Cincinnati Bengals, AFC South, Jacksonville Jaguars, and the AFC West, the Denver Broncos. So I think we should kick this off. Do we want to go 1 to 8 or do we want to go 8 to 1? Do we want to go first to worst or worst to first?
I don't know.
It's tricky. Well, why don't we go 8 to 1?
Okay.
How about that? So you'll give yours first. I'll give mine. Then I have Gil's list as well here.
All right. And are we doing our bonus with it as well?
Yes, we will do our bonus. So who do you think has the least possibility of going to first place next year?
I'm going with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay. All right. Well, spoiler alert, Gil also went with the Jacksonville Jaguars at that 8 spot. I am actually going with a team who has a new quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback, but there's just something about this team where I think that they're going to get even worse than they already are. I'm going with the Detroit Lions.
I don't know if that's possible, but if they do get worse, then yes, they can't.
I'm just going to preface too that a huge part of my rankings also had to do with how tough I thought their divisions were.
Oh,
so maybe they're not
very difficult.
Maybe they're not the worst team out of the 8,
right?
But they might have a tougher division than somebody else. So that plays a huge factor in these rankings. Who do you think would be Jacksonville's biggest competition in the AFC South?
The Colts.
Ooh, okay. We've got Titans. We got the Colts, 2 playoff teams. It is a hard division. That could play into your ranking. That could play into Gil's ranking of having them in 8th. With the Detroit Lions in the NFC North, I'm going, obviously one of the strongest teams this past season. It's going to be tough to beat out the Green Bay Packers.
Absolutely.
All right, number 7 on your list. Who do you have?
I've got the New York Jets coming in at number 7.
Okay, all right. You and Gilbrand, New York Jets as well. So
I promise I didn't look at his list, actually.
It's funny. I actually
didn't.
did my list first, and then I looked at his and I was like, whoa, we were
Yeah.
I was actually very different from him.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to break this down. So who do you have as the Jets' like biggest competition then in the AFC East?
The Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Miami and Miami's always kind of questionable. The Patriots are, questionable. We got to see what they do in the draft and what quarterback they bring in. But I think like where we are right now, Buffalo sits at top, and I think they're going to sit there pretty for a little bit. So that will be their biggest competition.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going with the Denver Broncos at 7, and I know
okay.
But honestly, there's like, I do feel like if you have a lot of people who are like us and kind of analyze these type things, I feel like a lot of people's lists would be very different. So
yeah,
I'm going with the Denver Broncos. And this was a team I had a lot of faith in going into this season. I don't really know what's going to be with the quarterback position.
Yeah.
I thought they would like to stick with Drew Lock. He got one injury. It feels like they already want to move on from him. I guess I'm more so doing this not because of the team. I'm doing this because they do play in that division with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a huge competition to, get them off the throne. And I know there's that Super Bowl like slumber or whatever the following season, but
they were sleeping during the Super Bowl.
I don't think it would be very difficult to see anybody beating out the Chiefs in that division. So
yeah.
All right, number 6. Who do you have on your list?
I am going with the Detroit Lions.
Okay, so we're not far off.
Yeah, and I did agree with you that the Packers are their biggest competition.
Okay. Number 6, you and Gil are par for par right now.
I didn't look at it.
Detroit, I believe you. He also had the Detroit Lions. So you guys had him at 6. I had him at 8. We're all kind of in the same position. I'm in the same position, similar to you with my 6th pick, because this is where I'm placing the New York Jets.
Okay.
Yes, Buffalo is very tough competition. I do feel like if they do figure out the quarterback position, I do feel the Jets are capable of going past the Patriots and going past Miami, because there's question marks for all 3 teams at quarterback.
Yeah.
What if one of them lands Deshaun Watson? What if one of them gets a rookie who's just phenomenal?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to predict, but I could see them finishing in 2nd place. The Bills would be hard to take them out of 1st. But this is where I definitely have the Jets towards the bottom of the barrel. But huge question mark there. I mean, once we figure out these quarterback situations, these lists will 100% change too.
Yeah, and I honestly must say that I think there's one team on here that actually can realistically get the number 1 spot. No other team on here can realistically go to 1, in my opinion. So when you do hear mine for the next couple, it might be like, whoa, but we had to do it. I'm essentially thinking of them too of getting better. So that a better team next year.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even say that looking at these 8 teams, like, maybe you'll have 1 that can make the playoffs, maybe 2. So yeah, of course we had to rank them. We had to put them somewhere. But I agree with you. I think there's only 1 team realistically that could do it. Yeah, I agree with you. All right. Number 5, who do you have?
I am going with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay. All right. You and Gil, Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh my God.
This is hilarious.
This
is so funny. Who do you have as Cincy's? Because that is a very interesting AFC North. That is a division where I truly believe all teams could get that first spot. Yeah. They're all competitive. It's not what most of the divisions in the NFL, they do have a weak team. Maybe they have 2 weak teams.
Right.
This is a division where I think they're solid 4 teams.
I am picking Baltimore though as their toughest competition. So.
Okay. All right. Number 5, I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
It's crazy that we still haven't heard a Drew Brees retirement announcement yet, right? I am expecting that to happen.
Yeah.
So I think, New Orleans falls out of the mix a little bit. I don't really have a lot of faith in the Panthers. And then you have your Super Bowl champions. So, I mean, that's going to be tough. But Atlanta, I mean, they've got their quarterback. They've got weapons. I really don't. Caitlin and I can agree. We don't know what's going on with Atlanta these last 2-3 seasons. It's very strange. But I think they're fair to put them in the middle of the pack here. All right, number 4 on your list. Who do you got?
I here am going with the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay. And did I say my biggest competition was the Bucs?
No,
the Bucs.
But, okay, yeah.
Kind of with my explanation made sense.
Yeah, and I think your explanation does make sense. I'm actually going to go with the Saints, though, on their biggest competition. I think it's because the competition between the two of them has been heavy over the past couple of seasons.
Okay.
Listen, the Bucs came out this year, building up into win a Super Bowl. That's great. And I'm not saying they're going to come out poorly, but that there's that almost tradition of the Falcons and the Saints being very on top in that division. So I think it's always going to be a good rival there. And it might be hard for them if they want to make it to the top to beat that team twice. So that's why I went with the Saints.
All right. So we are at 4, right? Yep.
Yes.
Number 4. Okay. So who did you go with?
I went with the Falcons.
Wait,
that's what I just did.
Oh, we just did 4. You just did 4.
I just did 4.
Oh, okay. Now I'm doing 4.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, 4. I have the Cincinnati Bengals here.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the Steelers as their hardest competition, but I did put an asterisk next to it. Kind of basically what I said when you talked about them is I think it could be any 4 of those teams could win that division.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 4, Gil Brandt had the Denver Broncos.
Woo, okay.
This is where you part ways.
We part ways finally.
Gil, broken up finally.
Know that we didn't copy each other's homework.
All right. Well, now we're moving on to the 3 spots.
I am going with the San Francisco 49ers.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay. And who do you have as their biggest competition?
The Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah. Gil has the Philadelphia Eagles at 3, and we all have different at 3. Mm-hmm. This is actually really funny because I did my list, like I said, and then I looked at Gil's and I was like, was I really wrong in thinking this? And then you and Gil had the Jacksonville Jaguars at 8, and I had them at 3.
Oh, Katie.
I know. And listen, they do play in a tough division because you did have 2 playoff teams come out of it with the Titans and with the Colts. Maybe this is just me with a belief in Trevor Lawrence.
No.
And
he's going to do well. He's not going to turn them around.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't. Listen, this is also not me saying I'm not putting all my eggs into his basket yet. But I don't know. I don't know where I can. I have to rethink this. Especially once I heard, I was like, whoa, okay, maybe I'm wrong here. But I have them at 3. And I didn't agree with you, though, as the Colts being their toughest competition. I am going with Tennessee. I like that team better.
All right.
And especially with the Colts, certainly I think Phillip Rivers is a better option than Carson Wentz. That's just me. So I don't have a lot of faith in that. And so I think they're going to go downhill because, I like Phillip Rivers better than their current quarterback situation. Sure. Okay, number 2, who do you have?
Well, this is where I got kind of questionable because you put them low on your list. I went with the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
2. And I think this is where I was kind of, trying to convince the audience earlier, listen, and you'll see my number 1 team is the only team I actually think that can get the number 1 spot. Obviously, the Broncos aren't going to beat out the Chiefs, but out of all these teams, do I think they're going to make an improvement next year? Yes,
I think this is another one where they could definitely finish in second place.
Yeah, so that's where I was kind of looking at. And obviously the Chiefs are going to be their biggest competition. Right. So
the Chiefs are honestly the only reason I had them so low on my list. But
who knows? Anything can happen.
Yeah, I 100% agree with the fact that they could easily finish in second place in that. Easily.
For sure.
Number 2, Gil Brandt had the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
And I have the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
So, I have Philly so high up on my list, mainly because any team could win the NFC East any single year. We've seen it. It's not like how the AFC East was, where the New England Patriots won it year after year after year after year. It's very tough. A lot of teams do not go back to back in the NFC East, winning it 2 years in a row. Always changes. I kind of think we all sucked this year. We really did. And I feel like this is a division where year after year, it's up for grabs for anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't expect the Philadelphia Eagles to finish in 4th place heading into the 2020 season.
No.
So they could easily surprise us again next year
Anyone
and end
can
up
win.
in first place.
Yeah.
So that is who I went with. And sorry to say, but I'm giving the biggest competition in that division to Dallas.
Ugh.
Sorry. All right. And then our number 1 spot.
So I do have the Eagles at the number 1 because I think they are the team that most realistically can actually obtain that number 1 spot this year. For to me, is that all that because it's the NFC East, and unless one team comes out stellar early on, it really is up for grabs.
It's a battle to the end.
It really is. I, though, totally unbiased, I am going with the Giants as their biggest competition because I did think both games this year were very competitive, even putting aside from the fact that we are rivals day to day. The one, playing at Lincoln Financial was a very aggressive game. If Evan Ingram didn't drop that pass, the Giants would have won that game. And that would have been a game changer in the conference this year. As for all 3 teams returning, I actually think the Giants have the most promising returning team coming into the 2021 season. I think they could have used preseason. I think, that really, set aside. We saw a lot of promising things on defense. A lot of all those players are returning, and we hope to get many of them back too in regards to contracts and things like that. So that's why I did put the Giants there, because I do have confidence that they are actually one of the better positioned teams in this conference returning next year. So
I don't necessarily disagree with you, like positions across the board, but for me, it's Dallas because I look at the most important position. And I do believe Dak Prescott.
I'm still I don't know if he's coming back to that.
And maybe he's not. I think he will. That's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, I do think, unfortunately, I think he's a lot better than the other quarterbacks in the division.
And I think that's a very fair.
Yeah. And so I think that's a huge factor for me in picking Dallas as the strongest one. All right. And then finally, number 1, who do you have? Oh my God, I'm losing my mind.
Are you on a cleanse? Like, am I the one that's like losing my mind?
No, I'm the one drinking.
Maybe that's why.
I'm the one drinking. Okay, my number 1 team, and Gil, Brandt, and I, the 2 of us are finally on the same page.
Finally agreeing.
We are both going with the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay.
I think we played a game recently where we had to say, specifically who we thought could go from worst to first.
Yeah.
And I did talk about the San Francisco 49ers. They were clearly in 4th place this year based on injuries alone.
Right.
Their entire team was decimated. All their star players were out. And get this team healthy, I think that they can, even though this is a really tough division, they could win it.
Yeah.
They could win it. So that's where I'm at with them.
All right.
Very interesting. I think we need like a 4th party to make their list because it's definitely all over the board.
It really is, honestly.
It'll be interesting to see.
Maybe we'll send it out on our Instagram and our Twitter to see what we get back.
But I am on board with you where I do think maybe realistically we might only see one of these teams have a shot at doing this. I would say maybe 2 teams tops I could see making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Tough competition in these divisions that these teams are going to have to face and try to take out. So
yeah.
All right.
All righty. Well, it is that time of the episode to get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, wine, life, anything.
Non-wine.
So I'll give you
Doing
my
cleanses.
get it off my chest for this cleanse. I'll tell you how I'm feeling.
I'll tell you how I'm feeling.
Not well, B.
Not well,
my head feels I have such a bad headache. Do you want to get us started?
Yeah, I can start. I gotta be honest with you. I'm struggling to think of one this week, which sometimes is okay. Maybe you don't need to passionately get it off your chest every week. I will tell you, I watched part 2 of Salt Lake City reunion today. The 3rd one is going to be tonight, obviously. And we cannot wait. Next week, we're going to recap all 3 parts for you. And it's so funny because watching it today, I feel like I had so many things that I could have gotten off my chest on tonight's show about it specifically part 2. Yeah. And I was like, damn it, Katie, you've got to save it because we're doing a full recap.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just going to just give a little tidbit, little hint into how I'm feeling.
Give him a teaser.
Great first season.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I would really like hate three of the women.
Okay.
So I hate Jen Shaw.
Okay.
I hate Lisa Barlow. And
Okay.
I think in the regular, like in the season before
Mhm.
the reunion, I absolutely was like, I hate Jen Shaw more than anybody else. Now I feel like Lisa is almost on the same level for me, hate-wise, with Jen, based on what I saw from the reunion. So I really cannot stand her. And I don't want to use the word hate for Mary Cosby, because she was irrelevant during the season.
Yeah.
She barely had any airtime. But in the reunion, I think she did not. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I question with her. So I don't hate her, but I definitely dislike her. Mm-hmm. That leaves me with three women that I liked out of the bunch. I mean, that's not that great.
No.
And that's not to say that I didn't like the franchise, because I really did. It was great TV. I just didn't expect to strongly dislike
that many
half
people.
of the cast.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see. Apparently, they already started filming season 2.
Oh,
so
I'm ready.
Pumped, and I am ready. Obviously, it was a shorter season with this first one. COVID hit during their filming, and I can't wait for season 2.
I will admit though that this is the first time I'm not emotionally drained going into the third part of a reunion.
I was drained after 2.
I definitely was, but I usually either I skip out on the third part of the reunion because I'm too much. I'm actually ready for this one, and I was it was a lot, but
I was exhausted after 2.
And they're bringing the men into.
They are. I'm excited to see that.
Very excited to see that. My get it off my chest is short and sweet and to the point. I am so over the snow. Like I can't do it anymore. It's every morning I wake up and I'm working, look over my shoulder, starts snowing. And I'm like, really? And like today was 50 degrees and beautiful and the sun was out and the snow was melting. And that's what I need. I need that vitamin D in my life. I need the warm weather.
Yeah. I mean, people are starting to joke that like New Jersey's like Wisconsin now, or that New Jersey's like the snow capital of the country,
snow
state of the country. It's been a lot.
It's been so much, and I just need a pick me up, a mood booster, and it's going to be that warmer weather, that sun. And we can just do so many more activities.
Good news is it's starting to get lighter later. That helps. That definitely helps.
Yeah.
I can't even believe Mondays is March 1st.
I can't believe
that
it either.
Blows my mind. So we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. I can't wait till we can be together in person, hopefully filming a show outside.
Yeah,
that'll
do
be
that.
great. We're gonna look forward to that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that is our show for tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining us as always. Things you do not want to miss this week. Real Housewives of New Jersey on tonight at 9 p.m. Ooh. This is episode number 2. Man, it's going to get good.
I'll be sleeping.
You do not want to be the person that misses this season of Jersey.
Yeah, don't miss the season, but don't spoil the episode.
Salt Lake City Reunion Part 3, that is on tonight at 10. Again, next week we'll give you our full breakdown recap. Real Housewives of Atlanta on Sunday at 8. Real Housewives of Dallas on Tuesday at 9. And then we said it early in the show, but as of yesterday, NFL teams can officially start franchise tagging players. I kind of thought we were going to be scrambling last minute before the show to deliver news on who was tagged, but we don't have anything yet.
A lot of names in the mix, so keep your phones open for sure.
Everybody's pay attention to Dak Prescott. That man could be looking at a tag again. So we'll see what happens. And I'm sure we'll have lots to report next week. Looking forward to it. Have a good night, everybody.
Yes.
Be well.
Be well. Cheers. Enjoy your cleanse. Just kidding.